He emailed me up way
Oh, I
after.
left you a message and I emailed her.
There's no message.
Oh, yeah, I left a message. I swear I left a message. But that's okay, they go through.
Oh, you go to somebody, or she transferred to somebody else, maybe. Yeah. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Especially Sherry's not gonna be
Oh,
here.
she's not here tonight?
No, for several months, I think she's not.
She okay?
I think she's sick or something like that, I don't know. Yeah, she's not doing the plan commission yet. She is, but for this next.
I do. Well, we have a quorum, so that's good. I think we can get started.
Hello? It's working.
Okay. First of all, I want to say Happy New Year to everyone. This is the special meeting of the Plan Commission, January 6th, 2025. I'd like to call the meeting to order and have a roll call, please.
Commissioner Blaylock? Commissioner Gratiter absent today.
Yes.
Commissioner Levine absent today. Commissioner Marshall?
Here.
Commissioner Romanelli?
Here.
Commissioner Rothbach?
Here.
Chairperson Blaylock?
Here.
A quorum.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. All right, the next item of business is, oh, we didn't do the pledge. I guess we should do the pledge.
It's up
Let's
to you.
do the-
I'm sorry.
That's what I, yes.
Thank you. Perfect. That's what we're here for.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible.
Okay, the next item of business is the approval of the minutes from the September 26, 2024 meeting. May I have a motion to approve the minutes? Carrie,
Motion.
and a second, please?
I second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Anybody have any comments? I don't see any comments. All right, then I will entertain a motion to approve. Or I guess we just vote to approve. All in favor, just all in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the minutes are approved. Thank you. Are there any visitors wishing to address the Plan Commission on business other than what is on the agenda? I do not see anybody, so we can turn now to new business. The first is the approval of preliminary and final plat of subdivision for Chudy subdivision, the property at 2930 and 2950 Duffy Lane. Director Witt, do you want to start us out?
Certainly, Madam Chair. So for this particular case, the petitioner is Mr. Dwayne Chudy, who resides at 17 Dukes Lane in Lincolnshire. The request is for a recommendation of approval to subdivide two residential properties commonly known as 2930 and 2950 Duffy Lane. They want to divide that into three individual zoning lots for construction of three new single-family homes. Both parcels are currently undeveloped with the exception of a small shed that resides on the north end of the 2930 Duffy Lane parcel. The subject parcels are parcel 1 being a flag lot and an adjoining interior lot, which is parcel 2, each located within an R1 42,000 square feet single-family residential district. Parcels are bounded to the south by Duffy Lane and residential properties within the village, and residential properties in the village to the west as well. Both parcels are also bounded by residential properties within the village of Lincolnshire to the north and the east. In subdivision cases, there's certain things that we do look at, particularly impact in different areas. There is no zoning impact as a subdivision of the parcels as shown on the drawings that were attached to the memo will result in 3 lots that conform to the R1 district requirements for lot area. There are no zoning variations required for this particular subdivision. Wetlands, there are 4 wetland areas on parcel 1. The village's wetland engineer has reviewed the project drawings for potential impact of the wetlands, and he has determined that the project is in general conformance with Lake County Watershed Development Ordinance. With regard to woodlands, areas of mapped woodlands are indicated on sheet 7 of the engineering drawings that are attached to the memorandum. As indicated on the drawing, construction of the roadway and utility improvements will not impact any of the delineated woodland areas. With respect to utilities, installation of the sanitary line poses no impact to wetland or delineated woodland areas. The installation of the water line will, however, affect the critical root zone of trees along the property lines adjoining the property located at 2960 Duffy Lane. Mitigation of the damage to these trees will be handled at the time of application for a site development permit. And then thirdly, the installation of the water line will cross a wetland area at the north end of the properties. However, there will be no impact in the end as that line will be directionally bored beneath the ground surface. The installation of the water line at the northeast corner of the subject properties will require a utility easement to be recorded along the east property line of 17 Dukes Lane in Lincolnshire and to the northeast corner of the property located at 2990 Duffy Lane. A copy of that proposed easement again is within the packet. This will allow for connection of the proposed subdivision stormwater line to the Village of Lincolnshire's stormwater line that resides along Dukes Lane. The applicant has secured permission from the Village of Lincolnshire to connect to Lincolnshire's stormwater line within Dukes Lane. The action requested is that the commission review the information provided within the packet and/or presented by the applicant's representative tonight and make a determination of approval or denial of the applicant's request. As part of that approval, assuming that we go in that direction, staff has several recommendations to be added to the plat of subdivision drawings, which are indicated within the memorandum as items 1A through I and item 2. Further, the applicant shall provide a copy of the recorded utility easement, which was previously described at the northeast corner of 2990 Duffy Lane and the east side of 17 Dukes Lane. The applicant is represented by the engineer tonight. We also have our village engineer here in the event you have any technical questions on the subdivision. And from there, I'll turn it back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Maybe we'll have the questions from plan commissioners at this point. Does anybody have any questions about the proposal? No questions? Okay. Is there anything that the applicant would like to say? Right up to the front. Please turn it on if it's not already on. It's on.
Should be on. All right. Hello, my name. Well, really not much to say. I just wanted to thank everybody, Steve for helping, Carissa and Vivian as well. I think I've met them, and Bruce as well. So just want to say thank you guys for your time. Other than that, I'm just here for questions.
Okay. It sounds like we have no questions. So I guess the next step is to decide whether we approve this application.
This is to recommend approval for both preliminary and final plat of subdivision subject to compliance with the conditions in the staff report.
I would suggest that's legal, yes.
I think
hope
we
it is.
can, is this a matter that needs to come back to us for a final after we do a preliminary? I mean,
What we've done in the past, we could do one of two ways. This could either come back to the plan commission to prove that all these things are taken care of, or as we've done in the past with other subdivisions, is make it conditional upon staff's assurance that the comments that are in the list of recommendations are actually taken care of. Either way, we're going to be working back and forth with the engineer since we have several items. It's really at the whim of the commission. But either way, we will need the final plat signed off before we can bring this forth to the village board.
it's really up to the plan commission if you want to see the plat again. If you feel more comfortable seeing the plat and have a two-step approval before the board could approve the plat, or whether you are comfortable that these conditions, have you seen the conditions that are in the staff report?
Yeah, looked over today. I think we just received them. And,
They look okay to you?
yeah.
Not controversial, I guess, is what I'm.
I'm assuming if there's any issues, we'll have a discussion back and forth and make sure that we address your concerns.
So I think my proposal is that we decide whether to approve with those conditions set forth in our approval, if we do approve. So we vote yes.
If there's a motion to recommend approval of the preliminary and final plat, subject to compliance with the conditions in the staff report.
So moved.
Second.
Do we do a voice?
Shall we do a roll call?
Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Blaylock,
Aye.
Commissioner Marshall,
Here.
Commissioner Romanelli,
Aye.
Commissioner Rothbard.
Aye.
We have a quorum.
Aye.
Here.
Yes, the matter is approved. Thank you. All
Thank
right,
you.
then we can move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the public hearing on the proposed zoning amendment restating Article A of Chapter 9 of the Riverwoods zoning ordinance to add the Plan Development PD overlay district as a special district.
So you're officially opening the public hearing.
I am officially opening the public hearing.
Okay. Lee Brown is with us here tonight. I just want to say a couple of quick words about the purpose of the hearing. The Plan Commission has spent at least a year exploring the possibility of creating a type of plan development which would allow for residential housing of a type other than single-family housing in the village. And you forwarded a draft ordinance to the village board. The village board had a workshop on this, had further discussion, some of their comments we listened to, and referred it back to the Plan Commission for the hearing tonight. The village board was persuaded that the ordinance was in good shape, that the concept was sound, and so there's a memo from me in the packet explaining how this draft was subtly changed in some respects from what was referred to the board last August. Substantively, the provisions are the same. But since Lee is here, I think he can take you through what the changes are since it was last discussed by the Plan Commission and kind of lay out what this draft now provides.
Remembering that this went to the village board for review before it was referred back to you. And the chair was at that meeting, so I'll ask that you correct anything I say which isn't appropriate. But it was largely accepted. There were questions raised about the benefit and need of the minimum 25-acre size. There was concern from at least one of the trustees that admittedly we want a very high standard. The question was, are standards so high that no one will use them? There's no way of telling that, but we do know that if we start out with low standards, that's what we're going to get. The change that allows this to be a remapped district from what we brought to you last time is the most significant part of this adjustment. And that means there are no overlays that would accommodate this now. This ordinance change would allow for the creation of a mapped overlay district so that if a property owner of a particular property wants to develop multifamily uses, they would have a parallel review at the Plan Commission and ultimately at Village Board, but it will come to you both as a request to establish this overlay over an existing property and to establish a special use allowing for these multifamily or multi-unit buildings. And frankly, this is because Bruce and I came to the conclusion that we have an existing residential planned development district. And any adjustment to that, which might be sort of parallel, but it just would make a mess of the ordinance. And so rather than naming this another form of residential plan district, and rather than eliminating the standards on that existing residential planned area, we're taking this parallel track, which is an overlay and still the same basic standards that you saw at your last review of this before it went to the village board. Quite an outcry from the community, though, don't you think?
Well, it's given the weather tonight. So just to emphasize again to my to our commissioners. I provided a red line. I worked off a red line. There were grammatical changes from what had been referred to the village board. Oftentimes, we use the term residential plan development, and now in this draft, it just says plan development. And I shared some of the red line with the chair because I just wanted to make sure that we hadn't really adjusted anything in a substantive way. So in effect, we still have the concept here that the goal and purpose of the district is to promote better design. As currently drafted, the minimum site area is 25 acres. The use is allowed. It says the PD plan development may authorize single-family dwellings and multiple dwellings, as defined in this title, and accessory buildings for amenities and recreational uses. I think that was probably the one paragraph. That's section C on page 2. Well, I wish I had put page numbers on the ordinance. That would have been handy. But letter C, use is allowed. All of the other paragraphs, design excellence, enhanced design standards, procedures, have stayed the same as what was being debated and discussed by the Plan Commission. So I think the board was basically very pleased with your efforts. And we think there might be some residential development being proposed soon. We don't know for sure because they're probably still trying to get under contract. But by having this available to us, we'll be in a position to respond to a proposal. The other thing I think I should probably mention is that one of the conditions for approval of a plan development are compliance with an affordable housing ordinance. I've done a draft of that as well, which is being reviewed internally right now by staff. And that'll be going to the board maybe at the same time as this amendment, and make sure you all know about it and can see it. But they're companion ordinances. You can't really have one of these plan developments unless you show compliance with the affordable housing ordinance. And so we need to have the affordable housing ordinance in place as well, which we're working on.
The only other tweak that I would mention is that we made certain we were accommodating adaptive reuse of an existing building for multi-family purposes. You can imagine that.
So there's apparently no one here from the public who wishes to comment. On our best to explain the plan development overlay district and the draft ordinance. If there are not any other questions, I suppose we could have a motion to close the public hearing.
When do we talk about the little tweaks that we came up with?
We can do that now.
Okay, and then we can close. I think Commissioner Blaylock had a couple of comments to the draft ordinance, and then I had one comment.
Commissioner Blaylock asked me, it said multiple something, and I think it's supposed to be multiple dwellings. And one, there's just a missing word.
It's under D5.
Yes, it is. Excessively long unbroken building facade shall be avoided where multiple buildings are proposed, or multi-buildings. That should probably be
Multifamily, are we using that phrase?
I would say multi-unit makes more sense.
Multi-unit?
multi-unit. Lee, you might remember there's a place in describing the procedure where we say it's a three-step process or a.
I think I called it a two-step process.
Under section G, the first paragraph there, there's a spot where it looks like 3 was changed to D. It looks like the RE is a strikeout.
Oh,
Is that supposed to be 2? Or is it
Or is it-
three-quarter time,
maybe it's
6/8
the-
time? What?
Maybe it's the,
What's the
THE.
meter here?
It's intended to be a two-step process. And what we're referring to is preliminary that goes through the whole plan commission and village board and then back to you as a second review. So can we change that to two?
I think it should be two
Fine.
stages.
It would also work as just I think, but yeah.
Yeah, the stages set forth below would work also.
Do you like that
If we
better?
come up with more stages, that would be,
You prefer?
the works, let's work.
Are we going with the or two?
Let's go with the,
The,
in
Is-
case there's more stages than we know.
right.
And then this would be in section. I don't know who's the knucklehead who forgot to put page numbers on this.
Are you referring to my comment?
Oh, yes.
Which is under G2A on page X, whatever page that is. It's talking about the pre-application conference and the standing technical committee. And I know that trustee Clayton had proposed that the chair of the plan commission be on the standing committee, and I think that's a good idea. So I propose that we add the chair of the plan commission to that list of people who may be included in the standing technical committee.
Definitely.
Does anybody have any other comments on the draft ordinance? Did we hit all of yours, Carl?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else?
catches.
No. Okay, then I think we're in a position to have a motion to close the hearing.
I move that we close the public hearing.
And a second, somebody?
Second.
Okay,
All in favor, voice.
all in favor? Aye, say aye. Any opposed? Okay, so the public hearing is closed. Now, do we consider the draft itself?
It's, the question is, do you recommend approval of the ordinance to the village board as it is with the modifications we discussed, or some other action, like not recommending approval?
I have a quick question. When the Board of Trustees discussed this, was there any public comment on it at all?
Well, it was at a workshop meeting.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, there was no.
Member, I believe, who had been invited, and their comments were more about the Affordable Housing Act and not about this.
Right, she was talking about the, what do you call the separate units, the ADUs. Yes, her concern was that we consider adding an ADU ordinance to our ordinances, which
Look
But you
at
understand what
accessory
ADUs
dwelling units as
Accessory-
as a way of, promoting affordable housing in the village.
so that's something we can take
Wait.
up when we do affordable housing.
I remember when we were talking about affordable housing a while back, there was definitions of affordable housing, how you would perceive it. Do you remember when we had talked about that? Like, some people didn't realize what affordable housing meant and all that stuff. Maybe it might be a good idea just to kind of go over that a little bit again, if that's okay.
For tonight, you mean?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
No, well, the state of Illinois defines in the regulations that the Illinois Housing Development Authority, IDA, has put out, which interprets the housing affordability law in Illinois, the Housing of Something Appeals Act, as housing that is affordable to someone who doesn't spend more than 30% of their income, and based on household size and based on the median income figures that are put together by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD. So they publish every year based on different geographic regions in the country. There's a 6-county metropolitan region, I think, in Chicago, what the income limit is for a household of 1, 2, 3, or 4 who is renting a unit and wouldn't spend more than 30% of their income for rent and, I think, utilities. And what is the maximum income limit for a household of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for someone paying a mortgage on an owner-occupied unit? So it's a dynamic test. And then you say, okay, with more than 30% of their income, which income? You know median income. So IDA proposes that if you provide, let's say, 20 affordable units in a project, 10 should be affordable to people who don't spend more than 30% of their income when their income is only 60% of the area median income, which they refer to as low-income households. And the other half of the units should be affordable to people who don't spend more than 30% of their income when their income is no more than 80% of area median income. So there are many, it's difficult to talk about all this, especially without having pieces of paper in front of you. But basically, there's a recognition that there are people who only reach 60% of median income, and there's an attempt to make some of the affordable units available to them in a development. And the more standard number is someone earning up to 80% of area median income. However, there are many villages that will also define it as up to, say, 120% of median income, because they will talk about a concept that Lee taught me to use called the missing middle, which is people who are not at below 80% of area median, but still would have trouble affording housing in your area. So, I don't know what people think by affordable housing. It's not possible, I don't think, anymore to say it really means this or it means this. I don't think that is useful, because when you say it's really meant for teachers or it's meant for that, it doesn't really explain. The teachers in the New Trier district are paid quite a bit relative to teachers in other districts and stuff like that. I think it makes more sense just to stick with these numerical determinations as to what their goals are.
The reason I say this, we had this issue with Lexington. Remember when we were talking? And the reason I bring it up is obviously we're talking about this template and what we're looking at. And I just want to make sure that what we're saying is this is what we mean by this. That's why I'm asking.
Well, you mean in the draft affordable housing ordinance, we have definitions for low and moderate income. And the standards are different for rental versus owner-occupied units. For owner-occupied units, the draft right now suggests up to 120% of area median income if you're going to have someone eligible to live in an owner-occupied unit. That's up to the board to decide.
Okay.
I think it's worth noting that there's a different approach to the rental units versus for sale units, in the notion that it's difficult to keep a for sale unit affordable over a long period of time. It's easier to govern that when it's a rental unit. And so the proposed ordinance makes a distinction and allows for the construction of units that are on site and affordable rental units, and allows the construction, it allows for the payment in lieu of construction in the case of owner-occupant units.
I mean, this is just, Lee's just referring to a current draft. The board is going to have to discuss this and decide. But
I brought it up.
Lexington, the problem we had with Lexington, among other problems, is that we didn't have an ordinance. So when they asked us what our requirements were, we didn't have express provisions. We couldn't quote what the fee in lieu amount was. We just didn't have that available.
I just think it has to be defined. That's all. Making sure that what we're saying is what it is, because when people come to us, that could be a wrinkle.
No, the ordinance is much more specific than anything we've had before, and we'll have the common practice is we'll have guidelines every year where we take the information that IDA and HUD gives us, and we'll actually, those usually in most places now, those are updated annually, so you can see exactly what the annual income limit is.
Okay, thank you.
Does Deerfield have an ordinance?
I think Lee's saying yes, they do.
Because I just saw something where they're building 254 units at Deerbrook. and 25 are going to be affordable.
Okay,
So,
okay.
So it's 10%. 10% are affordable.
Right.
And the workshop, I did raise the fee in lieu, which I'm not crazy about, but we had a discussion, I thought it was a good discussion about where those funds may go and how they might be designated, and not just, used for general
Right.
purposes, that they should be put back into some kind of affordable project that is there or to come in the future.
And didn't we talk about, and not to bring this up again, like a nonprofit or something managing this process or whatever it was back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's still in the mix.
Still mixed, okay.
I think the trustees very much feel that we as a village are not prepared to take on a project like this without assistance from
Okay.
a
All right.
specialist.
Yeah, just bringing it up, that's all. Cool.
No, that's good questions. Any other questions? All right, I guess I will entertain a motion to approve the draft ordinance.
I'll give a motion. A first motion.
This is to recommend approval to the village board.
To recommend approval of the draft
Of the draft ordinance.
text amendment
Yes,
Yes.
for the PD ordinance.
correct. With the modifications that have been raised.
With the modifications.
So Carrie, you did the motion?
I did.
Do we have a second?
Second.
That's Carl.
Okay, we'll do a roll call for this.
Commissioner Blaylock,
Aye.
Commissioner Marshall,
Aye.
Commissioner Ramanelli,
Aye.
Commissioner Rothbard,
Aye.
motion pass.
Okay, thank you very much. It's been a lot of work and a lot more to come, I think. But it's the right direction. Okay, well, there is no unfinished business. Staff report. Director Witt, would you like to tell us the many things that are keeping you occupied?
Kind of keeping me occupied. We can go on all night. So we have the only project that we have currently that is going to head its way toward the Plan Commission would be the expansion of the Orphans of the Storm Animal Clinic. The group from Orphans came in. We have had the Dog and Pony Show from the organization as far as what their intent is. We have had a preliminary staff meeting with them, with the village engineer, myself, our wetlands consultant, and village ecologist, amongst others. We gave comments back to them. I've given them a proposed schedule to submit drawings and get into in front of the Plan Commission tentatively somewhere in March, but we have seen no response or have heard nothing from them since. That's somewhat been par for the course in the time that I've been here, that we get a little bit of action and then a lot of bit of delay, a little bit of action, a lot of bit of delay. So I don't know where we are at the moment from them, but that is the only project at the moment that is coming down the pike for the commission. Some other things just of interest. We did have bid opening for the demolition work to occur at the Fed Life project site. We took bids for demolition of the building structure itself as well as the reservoir. We will have a recommendation going to the village board on the 21st with the hope that mobilization for the contractor will occur the week of the 28th and look at having that building down somewhere by the end of March. So the project site would be developed actually, there'd be certain areas that'll be leveled off and seeded with woodland mix to bring those areas back up in the event that the fire district is not ready to proceed immediately with their project. And we're anticipating that shortly after we get done with the demolition and the flattening of the site, we move forward with actually digging the hole in the ground for our detention basin. So other than that, we have nothing major happening. I will tell you the other thing that has occurred. We have interest now. It doesn't so much pertain to the commission, but just as a point of interest, we have a new bakery that is looking to come into Colonial Courts as of yesterday. So they're going through the process at this point. It's been approved as a use, but they are lacking any kind of architectural drawing. So it'll be a bit before that occurs. That'll be the far southeast corner site behind State Farm. Sorry?
No change to park.
We haven't gone there yet because we don't have a final submittal from them. So we'll battle that out when we get there. But no, we don't have a change of parking, and we'll have to figure out how we're actually going to handle that when the case does come forth.
I have a question.
Yes.
So where Panera, so when you say Panera, you know where Panera used to be on the other side?
It's not where Panera was. Panera's in the shops, and this would actually be in Colonial Court.
No, I'm saying,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
the area that is vacant now.
Yes.
What's going on with that? Because obviously that area has been vacant for such a long time. It's a huge area. What's going on with that?
All right. Panera took three bays, the N3 bays of the shopping center.
Right.
At some point in time before my arrival here, Baby Vegas took the north third to turn it into a gaming business,
right,
solely for gaming. They got stopped dead in their tracks. They started doing work, putting up the metal studs for the interior walls, and they wanted to get an inspection. And I said, well, what am I inspecting for? Because they had nothing to show us for fire alarm system. We have gone back and forth with them multitude of times with regard to getting the fire alarm system up and running. There was a notion that they were going to only do their space. That did not pan out. Then they decided they were going to do the entire building at the direction of the fire district. Then they decided to go back and try to revamp the existing system, which was a simplex system, which doesn't make parts. So it would be like buy something off of eBay that you can't guarantee is going to work. Bids came through on that, and evidently the landlord decided they weren't going to spend that kind of money. So now they're back to revamping the entire shopping center. Part of the problem with that center is that there is a separate panel for Orange Theory, and you can only have one panel for the building. So instead of having three panels, it would have been Orange Theory, Baby Vegas, and the rest of the building, trying to consolidate that all into one deal. They just failed their last version of shop drawings coming through. So we're essentially no better than we were when I started here about 18 months ago. So we're waiting on that, and as soon as that happens, I'll be able to move forward. The other two spaces, we have zero interest expressed again.
Okay, thank you.
And the saga continues.
And it continues.
Thank you for that report. I have no comments, so I believe that we are ready for a motion to adjourn. Our next meeting,
The next meeting is February 6th. Just to let you know, the 240 Saunders is the Center for Holistic Health. That's where Dr. Gore spent all these years. He has told us, and his buyer has told us that there's a buyer under contract to buy that property. And the buyer is either the synagogue that's using one of the houses on Saunders, or an affiliate, but they want to buy the house or building and repurpose it for Hebrew school classes, after-school classes, educational things, kind of accessory to it,
Sure.
which seems like an okay use, nice use actually for that site. The zoning district they're in allows for all kinds of office uses, but on advice of Lee and others, it doesn't sound like an office use. And so the council who represents the buyer said, we'd really like to make sure we have, the use allowed. And so the simplest thing we could do was to come up with a text amendment that allowed that kind of use in their district is the Office and Research Compatible District. That text amendment will be noticed and up before you at the February 6th meeting, I believe.
Okay, cool.
Whatever happened with the parking lot Discover was going to build where the kennel used to be?
Whatever happened to that wall that was going to get built along the border? Whatever happened? Do you want to play that game? Whatever.
I withdraw the question.
I don't know.
What happened?
Maybe COVID. I don't know.
Okay, are we done playing whatever happened? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Thank you. Have a good evening, everyone.